What is up, y'all? So today we are going to be talking about why you should have a big and little system on your team. Yeah, I'm talking about like the way the sororities do it, where the most senior level people in a sorority have, teenage 18-year-olds that they're basically like is their little sister. So we're going to jump straight into the videos. Make sure that you leave a comment. And, you see some questions, you hear me say something cheesy or gangster or whatever, super player. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Turn on that notification bell. Let's get going. So first, we're looking at Coach O. If you don't know who Coach O is, he is Southern bred. Okay, from Louisiana, was a head coach at LSU after he left USC. And I believe here he's talking about how the first time he met the LSU head coach as a boy. So let's see what he's got to say.
I went to a thing called the Cajun Festival, and we heard Charlie McClendon was going to be there, the head coach of the LSU Tigers. And I was like, wow. So my dad had a couple of pops. He thought he was the damn governor, So he goes find Charlie McClendon. He brings him over. And I'm 8 to 10 years old. Hello, young man. My name is Charles McClendon. I'm the head coach at the Louisiana State University fighting LSU Tigers. I thought I was talking to God. I saw this man on TV. He came shake my hand. He was my favorite coach ever since. So when I became the head coach at LSU, I understood the position.
The power.
Not me, the power. And I was going to include everybody in the state of Louisiana, just like Pete taught us, one team, one heartbeat. So when I picked up that trophy, it was like for us. And people were powerful. And man, it helped us. You just felt the energy. It was something else, but it was real. So we're going home, right? The interstate is crazy. They're moving off the interstate. Louisiana is going nuts. We on the interstate. We go down this Highway 30. There are the plants. There's the restaurants. There's all the guys that are welders and cooks on the side of the road, and everybody was happy. And that's the way I was raised. That was my people. And man, for me, it was gratifying. When I was a young boy.
So the important thing I want y'all to take from this. So I plan to implement this, and I've noticed that at least one team. So when I started Rakeley, I was kind of making up a coaching system, like the real joint, the stuff y'all don't know about. Like Goldilocks zones is like probably like a fifth of it. But the teams I looked at, and I actually talk about this in the Goldilocks zone, were Nitro, Swim Mac, North Baltimore, RMC, Rockville, Montgomery, and I want to say maybe there's one more, but definitely those four, right? And at Nitro, I remember growing up, so their national coach, who since has been banned from USA Swimming, one thing I remember that they did was it was almost like a cult following around their coach, their national coach. Like they had him exalted as like the best thing, and he was the best thing in Austin for sure. But they had him exalted as this like God within their program. And like, this is what I was saying that I would make sure I do because I know I can deliver on it and make sure that everybody actually has a chance to get in, because through the technique solutions, like that's our purpose, is to give everybody the skills, not just the most talented people who figure it out naturally. And I remember being on deck when I got back. I started swimming as a coach, or I came back as a coach when I was 24. And the kids were always like, yeah, I'm going into NAG development group. Yeah. Like, are you in a NAG development group? Like, that's all the Nitro kids. I was not did not coach at Nitro, but I remember the kids were just like, I gotta go these times so I can get in the NAG development group. And so that way I can get into NAG group next year. And I remember it was like, that's brilliant. That is a brilliant coaching move, because now you don't need to motivate your athletes. Like they've created, like the system has created their own motivation. And I think their error, and where I say like I'm definitely going to have this level of indoctrination when I start a team, if I start a team, is that, and if you can deliver, I think it's a very wise thing to do, is that they couldn't serve everybody because they just didn't have the technique knowledge to do it, to give everybody the skills to where it's like, if you don't make it, it's going to be just because like you just weren't born with enough of the gift. Like that's going to be, it's like, and even then, like you could have a kid who doesn't swim fast, but can work hard enough to make the intervals, right? And I think those kids are the most important people on your team, if I'm being real. But like, if you have that, and then your kids can like, hey, what do I need to do to get in that group? What do I need to do? Well, let's look at your film. Okay, well, boom, 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 boom. You're breathing this way. It's too late. Blah 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 blah. The kids they're excited. Like they were driven. So it's like, imagine you take that drive and you actually give them like the actual solutions they need to like pop off. Like, so what he was saying, Ed Ogeron, Coach O, like, he knew, and everybody wanted to be a LSU Tiger. If you're in a Tiger, LSU Tiger, fighting Tigers, because of the coach had this like godlike aura, and he was loving to the entire state. He brought everybody in, right? So of course, you feel like that, about somebody, you're gonna want to go be around them. You're gonna want to be coached by them. So obviously, there's more to it. Like, you gotta have the right personnel and people and belief system around your program and what you stand for and fall for, right? So, or not fall for, but are willing to like, put your flag in the ground on. There's more steps to it than just indoctrination. But yeah, I think it was a good thing to see, because I think a lot of times people just are out here swimming and you're not thinking about the feeling side of the game. Like, how do these kids feel about my program? Right? Like, this is the way they feel, do the motivation for me or not. All right, let's jump into the next video.
Fan went back to his seat, had tears in his eyes. What does it mean to make that kind of difference?
It means a lot, because I used to be at the game when KD came to play Atlanta for OKC, and I used to hope I can get a jersey, but I was always in the nosebleed. So just finding that one fan that's, he said he support me a lot, and he was super happy to get my attention. So I was like, I'm gonna get my jersey tonight. So super happy.
You did it in New York. You did it tonight.
Oh, sorry guys, there was a double volume right there. My bad. Luckily, it's a short clip, but we get to the namesake title of this video. I think this is so important. Like, if when I swam right in high school, I was fastest kid in the state, one of the top, I think I was like 30th in the country or whatever. Got offered full rides, like the whole nine, okay? And when I came back and started coaching, one of the kids I was coaching, his name was Ross, and Ross Sullivan, I think was his last name. And I remember he was like, man, like, I looked up to you. He was a BB swimmer, like nobody back then. And then when I came back, he basically became, worked his way into being the best swimmer on the team, where he was like, I think he might have broke one of my records. But I remember he was like, yo, he's like, I used to like worship you. Like, you were my favorite swimmer. Like, you were so motivational. And I felt bad, because it was like, damn, like, I could have really like made a difference in this kid's life if I had like said something, right? And like, a lot of kids who get into swimming don't have the best self-esteem, especially when they're younger, right? Like, if we're being totally real, like, swimming tends to be like your athlete rejects, I'm not gonna say, it's kind of true, I've been lucky enough to have people who were good athletes who swam, but it's just like, all right, I'm gonna go off what I see, like what I feel from the kids, from talking to them and being kind of the cool guy or cool kid on the block. And it's just like, sometimes when I'm like talking and joking with them, it's like they're so like shut in that it's like I'm afraid to like be myself, or God, I hope I don't get emotional. I think I am. Yeah, I am going to. I'm gonna have to pause this video a few times. Sorry, guys, but I don't know, just like this like forlornness, and God, yeah, I'm definitely going to. I'm trying to push through, guys. And it's like, I think that that buddy system, that little big little system, like, you have your, you pick your fastest kids, right? And you have to give them, like, ideally you want the even numbers, right? And you probably give like your slower older kids with the fastest top kids, and vice versa, right? Or however you want to do it, right? And like, I can imagine, like, if Ross was my little, how, like, I'd have been like, yo, what's up, dude? Like, how you doing today? And, like, I don't know if y'all ever, oh, God. All right, take two. So, like, when you're that person that people look up to, you can really make people's days, just like saying hi, being nice to them, you know, having lunch with them. In high school, I tried to make a point to be that person. All right, guys. And if you ever let yourself cry on the internet for views, you're a psychopath. Like, don't do that. You may think it gets you views and it makes you look authentic, and maybe in this generation it does, but it's like, what type of psycho sets it up and knows they're gonna cry and like, oh, I'm about to cry, like, let me set this up. Like, don't do that, guys. It's not player. But sorry guys, I'm over here breaking down. But like, just think about like that one kid who's kind of neglected, right? And you're the fast kid on the team, and you get to go over there and like, you know, say hi and, you know, to everybody who's like, oh wow, like he knows the big dog on the team. Like, you changed that kid's life, right? Like, the confidence he now has, like, he's gonna go to his parents and tell his parents about it, and parents are gonna tell the team about it, and it's like you really have a chance to really make an impact. And I wish a lot of people would spend more time. And, you know, like, that's what it's about. So, you know, like I was saying before I take that little break, there's this guy, I don't even know his name. And, yeah, so there was this guy on the team, like, I met him, like, freshman year, and he, like, had no friends. Nobody ever really talked to him. He was a JV player. And I'd always, like, go out of my way to, like, make him feel included, and I'd always go out of my way to, like, make sure he felt, like, involved in everything. So, you know, this is like 17, 18. So years later, I'm, like, 26, right? I go back to an alumni game, and he's there, and he pulls me aside. So he pulls me aside, and he's like, yo, he's like, thank you so much for being so nice to me. I'm trying to push this out real quick. He basically said that, he's like, yo, thanks for talking to me. Like, I didn't have any friends, and he's like, you changed my life. So, there, made it through. Sorry, guys, all those edits, I was breaking down over here. Just something that gets to me, you know. You know, obviously, I use this word as kind of very pinpoint when I say this, but, like, neglected kids, dude, that gets to me every time. And it's like, I gotta make sure I keep it down. Push that shit down. It's that easy. Someone looks up to you, go out of your way and make them feel special. So I think that's a very easy thing for coaches to do. And yeah, we want fast swimmers. We want, you know, these kids to get these lessons that make them awesome people. Me personally, I think you should be striving every day to, like, you know, when the kid's 30, be like, yo, this team changed my life. You changed my life, coach. So, you know, it's definitely worth it. So, all right, guys, we made it through. Sorry about that. If y'all want to know, because I kept breaking down, it took me about 10 minutes to get through about 30 seconds worth of commentary. So, all right, let's keep pushing. We're on to this Alexander Popov video.
This was the new Olympic sprint champion before his Atlanta 100-meter final. He faces very strong opposition from Gary Hall Jr. of the United States of America and Brazil's Gustavo Borges. He's called Rocket Man and the Tsar of sprint freestyle. This is Alexander Popov, the fast.
Guys, audio. So real quick before we get into this, me personally, when I watch Popov underwater, it's a jacked up freestyle, bro. Like, if you look at everybody else, maybe he's just that elite, like that genetically talented. But he does like his hips are all over the place. He's out of alignment with his hips and his shoulders. He's doing an early vertical form and he's pushing water back. His chest is open. Just like a lot of things that, like, now you would never tell an athlete to do in sprinting, you know, if you're trying to be the world's best. But there is one thing that he does that I think everybody neglects. I definitely teach it. Of course I teach it. But I guess two things. I think a big part of his success is that he swam the crawl. We'll talk about that in a second.
Omega timing expert asked Alex's coach Gennady Turetsky if Alex would win. Gennady replied, "Everything depends on the reliability of his technique at the finish, and Alexandra is as reliable as Swiss timing."
So right here, this looks like a crawl. Like there's not a lot of rotation. He's just kind of just going, right? And his shoulder coming forward is just kind of natural because the arm comes forward. And then, you know, a lot of great fundamentals to avoid negative stuff in swimming. I guess we're going to have to run this video back. But there's one thing in the middle that he's doing that I want to point out. It's a huge thing. And if you're teaching a rolling freestyle, which was very popular at that point, right? It was, I'm not going to say the new innovation, but it was like the definitive way to swim freestyle. The crawl had become extinct. A huge advantage of the crawl, I'm going to kind of let this run so that way I can be ready to show y'all when we get back. A huge advantage of the crawl, you're not rotating. So if you're not rotating, that means your muscles have to actually work. Okay, so like if I'm here, I can roll my body and my hand's gonna go behind me, right? Whereas if I'm doing a crawl, my muscles have to move my hand behind me. Right now, if I have anything going in front of my chest, right, instead of out here, where my bicep comes in front of me, you know, pulling like this versus pulling here, even though it's wide, I'm using making a lot of power. And if you're doing that against a bunch of swimmers who are swimming with rolls, not that they aren't making the power with rolls, but there is a chance because they're rolling that they're not. Against somebody who's not rolling, who's swimming the crawl, who is almost guaranteed they're using their muscles because they're not rolling, right? So you have this guaranteed I'm using my muscles versus maybe they're using their muscles, maybe not. So the second thing we're going to look at is this. I call it a connection drill. And it's learning how to pull with like your shoulder blades together. You know, you pull everything in to your body. Boom. So that way when you roll, like if I'm pulling on this cup and this is the water, when I twist my shoulders, I'm going to pull this cup back without actually pulling it back. Right? So I would catch. Boom. And I'd pull, I maybe would get deeper a little bit, and then I'm through my back and my chest back, and then I would finish. Boom. I'm here. Ooh. 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 Right? And that's why you'll see like a lot of swimmers who swim with the crawl, like they're like this. And Popov swam like that. Jimmy Fegan, you know, 19.4 in high school, at a time when it was extremely frowned upon to be that upright in a club setting. You know, it's very dominant lay flat type swimming, and he's upright like this. Like if you watch his videos, I think I'm gonna have some video. Oh yeah, it'll be up as a reel on Instagram. Like it looks like he's swimming like this. So, with some wisdom right there, and even here you can kind of see it. Right, you can see how he wasn't just doing this; like his shoulders were driving it. There's a Tarzan drill, right? We talked about how that's important to inducing the call. It's right here. Look at his shoulders. And you see his arm stays in one shape as he goes through. Right? So, I mean, even if he's wiggling or whatever, his anchor kicks are misaligned. If he's doing a crawl and then he's engaging his muscles and then he's actually twisting through his shoulders, not his whole body, right, but through his shoulders the right way, which really probably feels to him like more of a reach. He's, you know, twisting into his reach while keeping his shoulder blades together. Like, that's a dangerous man. That's a high level skill for back then. Dangerous man. So shout out to Alexander Popov. Shout out to the big dog. So that's it, guys. Let us know what you think. Sorry I was breaking down in there. Well, I mean, I'm not sorry it's going to happen, but you get what I'm saying. Like, unprofessional. Drop a comment, drop a like, turn that notification bell so that way that you're notified when we drop a video. And like I said, with the follow or subscribe, whatever it is, and the like, that helps us push in the algorithm. Like that detail about Popov, more people need to know that, right? That's going to help more swimmers swim fast. And when you drop that like, when you share it, when you subscribe to the page, it pushes us in the algorithm so we can get this more advanced. Like anybody can do that. Tarzan, I'd say it's you're gonna find a lot of errors. Teaching it, I've seen it. It's kind of a more 14 up motor skill thing, but that's something that can easily be done in the pool in practice at scale, right? And it has huge benefits because if you're a coach watching this, you probably teach all your athletes to roll through their freestyle or not to roll in their freestyle, but you're not teaching them how to connect their shoulders to their pull instead of just pulling their arm through the water. So help us push through the algorithm, guys. Peace.